Hello and welcome back to another Magic the Gathering EDH deck tech idea. Today we are taking a look at Betor, Kin to All. It is a 5 mana 5/7 flying Abzan commander, and this dragon has a powerful triggered ability. At the beginning of your end step, if creatures you control have total toughness 10 or greater, draw a card. Then, if creatures you control have total toughness 20 or greater, untap each creature you control. Then, if creatures you control have total toughness 40 or greater, each opponent loses half their life rounded up. This triggered ability allows us to refill our hand, untap those creatures that we just attacked with, and also drain our opponents down. Betor is a really cool Abzan commander that plays around high toughness creatures, but I definitely want to clarify that I personally think that this isn't a defender commander, as he doesn't enable your defenders to attack at some point, and only relying on his triggered ability to drain your opponents out is really risky. This is why I've built this deck to be a high toughness focused deck that will either win on the spot with its triggered ability of Betor or some other helpful shenanigans. But first we need to ramp Betor out as he costs 5 mana, so we play Vine Trellis, a 2 mana 0/4 with defender, and you can tap it to add 1 green mana to your mana pool. Yes, this is a defender creature, I know what I just said, but there's only one more defender in this deck and then we are done with them. For even more ramp we play Nature's Law, a 2 mana sorcery, search a library for a forest card, put that card onto the battlefield and then shuffle. A powerful turn 1 play is Wild Growth, a 1 mana enchantment, and whenever enchanted land is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional green mana. We play 3 Visits, a 2 mana sorcery, search a library for a forest card, put it onto the battlefield and then shuffle. We play Utopia Sprawl, a 1 mana enchantment, and you can enchant a forest with this card, and as it enters the battlefield choose a color. Whenever enchanted forest is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional 1 mana of the chosen color. And coming to the last defender, we play Sylvan Caryatid, a 2 mana 0/3 with defender and hexproof, and you can tap it to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. And now let's talk about high toughness creatures that will win us the game. We play Kolfenor, the Last You, a 6 mana 3/7 with vigilance and reach, and whenever it or another creature you control dies, return up to 1 target creature with lesser toughness from your graveyard to your hand. This creature will allow us to loop a few of our key pieces, and even if those get removed we can still return them to our hand. We play Bloodletter of Aklazov, a 4 mana 2/4 with flying, and if an opponent would lose life during your turn, they lose twice that much life instead. This is one of our instant win combos with Betor if we have 40 toughness or greater on the battlefield, as Betor's triggered ability rounds up the total life lost, and so with Bloodletter on the battlefield we will win the game on the spot. We play Bedrock Tortoise, a 4 mana 0/6, and as long as it's your turn, creatures you control have hexproof. Furthermore, each creature you control with toughness greater than its power assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. Lines like these are really important in our deck as we want to attack with all of our high toughness creatures and assign combat damage as though it's were their toughness. We play Forgotten Ancient, a 4 mana 0/3, and whenever a player casts a spell you may put a 1/1 counter on Forgotten Ancient. And at the beginning of your upkeep you may move any number of +1/+1 counters from Forgotten Ancient onto other creatures. A great high toughness creatures for Betor's triggered ability is Indomitable Ancients, a 4 mana 2/10, and that's actually it. For even more high toughness and card advantage we play Oran Frostfang, a 5 mana 2/6, and attacking creatures you control have Death Touch. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. As we use a bunch of high toughness creatures to abuse Betor's triggered ability, we will also need a few helpful artifacts and enchantments to win the game. For example, we play Wound Reflection, a 6 mana enchantment, and at the beginning of each end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life they lost this turn. Make sure to stack those triggers correctly so that Betor's trigger will resolve first to make all of your opponents lose half their life rounded up, and afterwards you will let Wound Reflection resolve to win the game on the spot. We play Aura Shards, a 3 mana enchantment, and whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment. To anthem up our creatures even more for a final swing, we play Sight of the Scale Lords, a 5 mana enchantment, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, creatures you control with toughness 4 or greater get +2/+2 and gain vigilance until end of turn. Another powerful card that will help us to get to 40 toughness or greater is Unnatural Growth, a 5 mana enchantment, and at the beginning of each combat, double the power and toughness of each creature you control until end of turn. As a few of our creatures with high toughness but low power will be targets of removal, we play Smile at Death, a 5 mana enchantment, and at the beginning of your upkeep, return up to 2 target creature cards with power 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. And in addition to that, you put a 1/1 counter on each of those creatures. Another really powerful card in this deck is Defense of the Heart, a 4 mana enchantment, and during your upkeep, if one of your opponents controls 3 or more creatures, sacrifice Defense of the Heart. Then you search your library for up to 2 creature cards and put those cards into play. Shuffle your library afterwards. Defense of the Heart will allow us to cheat out a few powerful creatures that we will need to reach a certain toughness mark, and also to find creatures that fit for the current situation. You want to win more? You get it. We play Last March of the Ends, an 8 mana sorcery. This spell can't be countered. You draw cards equal to the greatest toughness among creatures you control, and then you put any number of creature cards from your hand onto the battlefield. This deck has a pretty high creature count, and with Last March of the Ends we can cheat out a bunch of creatures and also draw a bunch of cards to keep our hand refilled. One of my personal favorites in this deck is Clever Concealment, a 4 mana instant with Convoke, and any number of target non-land permanents you control face out. This is a great protection spell in Betor, because as soon as you have a total toughness of 20 or more, you will untap each creature you control in your end step, so they will be able to pay for its Convoke cost when you cast Clever Concealment to protect your whole board from a board wipe. Alright guys, these were a few cards that I will play in Betor, kin to all. Let me know which cards you would add to the deck, which legendary creature I shall feature next. Make sure to check out my full deck list in the notes below, and then I would say see you in the next one. Goodbye guys.